everyone, welcome back to another video. You are going to have to forgive the lighting on this one. The clouds outside are so scattered that they are... That is what keeps happening. The lighting's gonna keep doing this, and there's really not a lot I can do about it aside from closing my blinds and filming in just boring artificial light. And I'm a little bit excited about the sun coming out because I love spring, so I'm kind of just willing to accept that my video looks crazy on the grounds that it's making me happy that the sun keeps coming out. And if you could also ignore the fact that I'm drying laundry on the radiator behind me, that would also be great. You're not using my tumble dryer because I figure if I'm going to be in with the heating on, I might as well just stick my laundry on the radiator and dry it that way than spending more money using the dryer. So please forgive all the craziness as we dive into the January review of my no-buy. So we're looking at non-essential spending for January, looking at the rules I set for the month and reviewing, and then setting the new rules for February. If you haven't seen the first video in the 2024 series for my no-buy, then you are in luck. I can link that up above, and at least you're only one behind. This is only video number 2 in the series, so if you want to get caught up, it's a really short one. You can go and watch that one first, and then this one will make more sense. I mentioned it last time, my key word for this year's no-buy is adaptive, and the whole purpose of that is to ingrain good spending habits that are sustainable over the long term. I'm talking basically forever. Teaching myself good spending habits, which I feel like I've done over the course of my no-buys over the previous years, but really ingraining those so that they just become a natural part of my life, that I'm not constantly feeling like I'm restricting, and that I just become a sensible spender. This year's no-buy, the rules are not going to be year-long because that's not adaptive, and sometimes setting rules in January, they don't apply for the entire year, and so the no-buy kind of starts to fall apart and just doesn't work anymore. So this idea of being adaptive, reviewing my no-buy restrictions each month and reflecting on those, and then making changes to the rules as I see fit. Wow. In order to make this no-buy as impactful as possible. So we will start off with January's non-essential spending. So this is everything outside of my standard bills or other essentials that I might need. There is one thing this month that I've introduced that I'm classing as an essential, but I will get to that in a moment. Got my tracker. My restrictions for January were fast food, jewellery, skincare, makeup, gym clothes, and then specifically adding treats into my grocery shop because I wanted my grocery shop to just be the essentials that I needed for my meals. That was on the grounds of I had plenty of biscuits and chocolates and things from Christmas that I did not need to indulge in anymore. So if we, to begin with, reflect on those, I can successfully say I hit 5 out of 6 completely. And those were jewellery, skincare, makeup, gym clothes, and treats in my grocery shop. I spent 0 in all of those areas, which I think is a really, really solid start. I had one slip up, which was fast food, and that slip up came very early in the month, and that was on the 5th of January. My reasoning behind that, not that really I should be making excuses for myself, but for the context, was that was the day we were flying back from Milan and our flight was delayed. So by the time we got off the plane and were coming out of the airport, it was about 9:30 at night, I think. We hadn't had any dinner, and so we just sort of said, let's just grab something. Because it was so late, I wasn't particularly hungry anyway, so I just had a Happy Meal. Yay. But I did pay for both of us. So my first thing on my non-essential spending tracker was fast food, and that came to a grand total of £11.58. And that was the only slip up we had for the rules I set in January. But that doesn't mean there wasn't other spending taking place. So let me break down everything I spent outside of my essentials. Media, I downloaded some music, not too much music, but just a little bit of music to create a new playlist in my car. I spent a lot of time in my car driving, so I wanted to mix it up a little bit. So I spent £5.96 on downloading music. I spent £61 on horse riding lessons. I only actually went for one lesson, but that was a joint lesson for me and my mum, and I just decided to pay for hers as well. I treated. I had 2 beauty appointments. So I got my nails done again, and I just got my hair cut, but that was just a trim, and I had just the ends taken off to tidy it up a bit. And between those 2 appointments, they were both cash payments, and I just took out £50, which covered the cost of both of them and tips. So that was quite a nice round number. My hair appointment especially was super cheap. I'm trying a new salon after, you know, all the drama of my hair being frazzled off at the other place. And I have been back there for a trim once since the incident with my hair, but they charge £22 as a standard fee for a trim. And when I was last in there, I was in the chair for 6 minutes, because that's how quickly you can just level off my hair, because my hair is so fine. It's not like you have to section it or layer it or anything, but that is like a set fee for a 30-minute appointment. So someone with like loads of hair that takes the full 30 minutes, they pay the same £22 as I pay for 6 minutes in the chair. And I completely understand that. You can't discriminate against, you know, different hair types. But it just felt like I was being so ripped off for the amount of time I was spending just to have someone cut a straight line across the bottom of my hair. So I'm just trying somewhere that's so much cheaper. Clothes, I bought a shirt which was £80 and 10 pence. That was actually in the sale. It's another one similar to this in cream, but with kind of like a frilly collar. I spent £6.40 on hair accessories just after I had my hair trimmed. I've been doing quite a bit of research into sort of caring for my hair. And so I bought some soft, scrunchy hair bobbles and then just this hair grip. I didn't own a single hair grip, but mainly that's to stop me using like the elasticy hair bobbles, which I think are causing too much pull on my hair. So I'm trying as many sort of simple, non-chemical ways of trying to make my hair better. So things like air drying it, things like not using heat, not using tight elastics and things like that. So that was £6.40, and then the only other place I spent, but this was my big one, was eating out. And the reason for that is because I treated twice. So I went out once with my mum and dad to celebrate that my dad got the all clear after his treatment, which we were so excited about. And so I suggested to my mum, I was at work when I found out, I said, shall we go out tonight? Let's take dad out. And she said, yeah, that's a really good idea. And I offered to pay for all of us. And then I went out once with my boyfriend where I treated. Now, don't get me wrong, it would have been this much anyway, because he took us out a different day and he treated. So if you're like, I ate for free that night. So it balances out. But those 2 meals where I treated both times came to a total of £144.73, which I suppose if you consider then there was 3 of us the first time I went out and 2 of us the second time I went out. So that's essentially 5 meals, and it came in at under £150, and that's kind of like £30 per person per meal. And in all of those instances, we either had a starter or a dessert alongside our mains and drinks. So that's probably not too bad. So that gives us a grand total of non-essential spending of £359.77 for January. And I'm just going to see if I can, there we go. So that's what it looks like on my tracker. And then the total is just at the bottom. One other thing that I have been tracking, which I'm classing in my essential spending, but just because I can and I would like to keep an eye on it, is how much money I'm spending on petrol and how much money I'm spending on my grocery shops each month. So for petrol in January, I spent £210.25. And for grocery, I spent £117.44 for the course of the month. And that even includes things like cleaning supplies and some toiletries like toothpaste and things like the essentials, nothing like particularly fancy. But just bear in mind, there is only me. I do only have to feed myself. But that is low because I've been really restrictive, not having any treats or anything like that. So those were just 2 areas I wanted to keep an eye on. As for February, I'm finding this really tricky setting my goals because, as I said, I want this no-buy to be adaptive in order for it to be the most effective. And so logic tells me I should look at the areas that I've spent the most money and be like, there's my restrictions. But knowing what's coming up already in February, that's not necessarily going to work. So for example, eating out, I know that towards the end of February, I'm going down to visit my boyfriend. I've mentioned it lots of times now. We're like minorly long distance. So when I do go down to see him, we kind of like make a big deal out of it. And I'm going for 5 days rather than just a weekend this time. So we're going to go out exploring. I want to go and visit some of the counties so I can cross a few of those off my list. So there's going to be times when we are eating out and we are sort of having like date nights and enjoying things. So I kind of already know that that's not going to be a cheap one this month because I've got things planned in, because I've got a longer period of time where I can visit him. Whereas in March, it's only going to be maybe a weekend here, a weekend there, and we'll probably just eat in for those. So I know I can restrict that in March in order to allow myself the enjoyment in February. I also booked flights for my next trip on the 1st of February. It's the 3rd when I'm filming this. So I know that there's going to be an expense on travel that I can't really say now that I'm going to put a low buy on travel because it's just not going to happen. So then the next biggest area of spending was clothes, but I only actually bought one item, and that's because I'm spending a bit more when I buy clothes in order to have better quality, in order to meet the style I want in my capsule wardrobe. But there are a couple of pieces I feel like I need to get because I'm really struggling with my work wardrobe. So again, I don't know if I should give myself just the freedom of February, spend a little bit on clothes if I find what works for my capsule wardrobe, and then really tighten the screws on it in March. And here is finding the balance between having this adaptive no-buy so that it is effective, and then balancing that between making it a struggle, making myself miserable. I mean, we've got to be a little bit happy, right? So with that in mind, I'm thinking I give myself the freedom of travel and clothes in February to be my spend areas if I want to. This whole idea of travel, experiences, all of that, have a bit of freedom in February and then really tighten the screws in March, because then I'll be preparing for going away in April anyway, because that's the trip I've booked flights for, and that'll be in April, so I'll need to be prepared to have some areas of spending in that. So with that in mind, goals for February. I have put no beauty appointments. I managed to get my nails, the ones I had done for sort of Christmas, New Year, my friend's wedding, and Milan, lasted for 5.5 weeks. My friend who does my nails, she is good. So they lasted for 5.5 weeks. If I can get 5.5 weeks out of this set, that literally takes us to the end of February. So first week of March, I would say if I want to get my nails done, then fair enough. I'm only having my hair trimmed anyway, and so I can probably go for like 2-3 months without needing it done or tidying up again. So I'm saying no beauty appointments in February. That should be fine. I'm sticking with no skincare. However, this is where I mentioned that other, what I'm classing as an essential comes in. I took the advice from a few people in the comments about finally getting professional help with my skin. So it was all going really well, and I was using basically no products other than a moisturizer on my skin. I was just washing with water. I was doing the steaming that I'd been trying, and I was using my mask, and it was fine. Everything was fine. It had been weeks since I had a bad breakout, but then it just went crazy. I don't know what triggered it. My skin just went mad, and I won't go as far as to say heartbroken, but I was so sad because I'd been doing everything well. I'd even stopped wearing makeup to work every day so that I wasn't putting any extra pressure on my skin. I was really doing everything right. I'm trying my best to drink as much as I can all the time, like trying to get my 2 litres in every day. I was gutted. I was so gutted, and it was horrible, this breakout that I had, and I couldn't work out what it was with the exception of it being hormones. And so My boyfriend's been telling me like, why are you suffering? Why don't you just go to the doctor and get help? And I've been saying, I feel like it's such a stupid thing to go and waste a doctor's time over. It's like, oh yeah, my skin keeps breaking out. My vanity is getting the better of me. But there's people that have actually got proper things wrong with them. I really didn't want to waste the doctor's time. But then a couple of people also mentioned it in the comments of one of my videos, like, don't underestimate, just go and see a doctor. And I was so sad about the state of my skin that I went. And I've been prescribed 2 different things for it. So those prescriptions in total cost me £19 something. And I will see how that goes. So I'm classing that as an essential because it's sort of a medical, it's a prescription, it's not me trying random skincare products. But yeah, skincare, I think it's best that I avoid all skincare anyway and stick to what I've been prescribed to try and sort my skin out. In the same vein, hair care, as I've mentioned, I'm trying to look after my hair as well, but I'm trying to do that through natural, sort of non-chemical, oh, the sun again. But I'm trying to do that through sort of natural, non-chemical stuff, so I don't want to be buying lots of hair products to try and miracle cure my hair, so I've put that on there. Because of the attention I've been paying to my hair, I feel like there's a risk of me being tempted by hair care products. Makeup again, not because I'm particularly bad in that area at the minute, but because I do feel like my supply is okay. I think we can drag it out a little bit longer if I use up bits of products, and because I've not been wearing makeup to work, I'm only wearing it today for filming, and I'll wear it for sort of going out. I haven't really used a lot. So last month when I said I've probably got enough to get me through January, I did because I was hardly wearing any. So I've probably still got enough to get me through February, and I'm keeping gym clothes on there because I hit the gym so many times in January. I did really, really well, but that just led me to be like, new gym clothes, new gym clothes, new gym clothes. And I'm getting a lot of like adverts on my Instagram for it, and I need to, if I'm going to give myself the freedom in clothes in February, I need to not give myself the freedom in every area, and I can make do with the gym clothes I've got. Even though I don't particularly love them anymore, we can cope for another month. So those were my no-buy areas, and then I've just put low-buy. So not restricting completely, but being a bit more conscious, low buy and eating out. So if I am eating out, then thinking about drinks to reduce cost, I can just drink water. Do I need a dessert? And so on. And just being a bit more mindful, because I know I'm going to be eating out in February, so just being more mindful about that. And so that's it for my January review and then planning for February. I'm not necessarily going to bring an update every single month unless you want to see that. Let me know in the comments, because I've got other video ideas to get out there. So it might be every 2 or 3 months. But if this is something you are particularly keen to see, then let me know, because maybe I'll swap a few ideas around. That's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, update me with the progress for your no-buys. How did your first month go? And we will wrap this one up here. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. You can subscribe by clicking this picture right here. And if you're interested in sticking around for another video, I will pop one right here that I think you might enjoy. Until next time, take care. Bye.